Hello BookTube, I'm Jonathan, and today I'm going to share 10 sci-fi books I plan to read in 2025. I'm going to let you know a little bit about them, and you can decide whether you want to pick them up as well. And as we all know, the battle against the TBR is a never-ending one, but the more sci-fi books that are on it, the more noble that battle is. So let's fight the good fight as we get into them, starting with 36 Streets by T.R. Napa. Lin Vu is a gangster living in the steaming, paranoid alleyways of the 36 streets in Hanoi, and its people are succumbing to an addictive, immersive simulation of the US-Vietnam War. When one of the game's developers comes to Hanoi on the trail of his friend's murderer, Lin is drawn into the conspiracies of the corporations backed by powerful regimes that seek to control her city. 36 Streets is a cyberpunk novel, and a lot of the cyberpunk that I have read recently has kind of been influenced by cyberpunk. It's a hybrid genre, cyberpunk adjacent, and I've kind of been craving that full-on neuromancer, altered carbon style cyberpunk where I can really just immerse myself in a gritty, seedy world with underworld crime, body modifications, virtual reality, and just kind of have fun with that kind of classic cyberpunk setting. Now, this is written by an Australian author, and I feel like as an Aussie, I need to be reading more Australian sci-fi. Greg Egan is one of my favorite Aussie sci-fi authors, so hopefully T.R. Napa can join him on that list. Let me know if you've read this one. It doesn't have a ton of ratings on Goodreads, but I have seen a little bit of buzz for it on Discord. I've read some positive reviews, so let me know if you think I'm going to enjoy this one, although I'm kind of a simple man. If I see some blue and teal, some pink or purple on a cover, I'm already intrigued. Next up, we have Time and Again by Clifford D. Simak. Asher Sutton has been lost in space for 20 years, but a warning arrives from the future that he will return, and that he must be killed. He is destined to write a book whose message may lead to the death of millions in centuries to come. Yet a copy has already been found in the burnt-out wreckage of a spacecraft. I'm a big fan of Simak. I have read City, which I liked, and Waste Station, which I loved. So I'm looking forward to reading another book from him with Time and Again, a time travel story. This is a trope which I'm always intrigued by. I tend to have fun with time travel stories, and hopefully he goes about it in an interesting and unique way, but I know that Simak is also going to include some pretty interesting themes in there. I feel like the way he approaches people reminds me just a little bit of Kurt Vonnegut. Not quite as absurd, but I think he touches on some of the same themes that Vonnegut likes to tackle in his books and his prose. I really just enjoy reading his books. His writing style reminds me a little bit of John Wyndham, an American version of John Wyndham. So let me know if you've read Time and Again and how you think that stacks up against other Clifford Simak books. Moving on, we have The Gone World by Tom Sweterlich. Shannon Moss is assigned to solve the murder of a Navy SEAL's family and to locate his teenage daughter. Moss discovers the missing SEAL was an astronaut aboard a spaceship assumed lost to the currents of deep time. Moss knows firsthand the mental trauma of time travel and believes the SEAL's experience with the future has triggered this violence. So it sounds like this book combines a mystery thriller with some time travel elements, which sounds pretty good to me. The book has been described as Inception meets True Detective, and I like both of those things. Not sci-fi books, but I enjoyed them. And I've heard it's quite fast-paced, so I'm looking forward to reading this one, maybe in between some chunky books, maybe some books that kind of fried my brain with some big sci-fi concepts. This might be a fun, fast one to read in between those. And the blurb described this book as luminous and unsettling. Not sure exactly what that means. Does this book glow in the dark? Why is it luminous? I don't know. You tell me. And for our next book we have The Dreaming Jewels by Theodore Sturgeon. 8-year-old Horty Blewett is mocked by his classmates and abused by his adoptive parents. He runs away, taking only a gem-eyed doll he calls Junkie, and joins a carnival. Horty never dreams that Junkie is more than a toy, nor does he realize that a threat far greater than his cruel father inhabits the carnival and has been searching for Horty longer than he has been alive. Okay, well I'm upset already. Poor Horty. I don't think I've ever had such an emotional reaction to a blurb before, but I'm already invested in this character of Horty. I'm rooting for Horty. Horty, I'm coming for you. I think this book includes elements of fantasy and horror, but I think there's some sci-fi in there. We're going to say it counts, especially because I am a big fan of Theodore Sturgeon. I read his book More Than Human and absolutely loved it. I think that book is a masterpiece. So if The Dreaming Jewels is anywhere near as entertaining, anywhere near as thought-provoking, and from the sounds of it, it's probably going to make me cry, then I think I'm going to enjoy this one as well. Let me know if you've read The Dreaming Jewels. Up next, The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. In 2019, humanity finds proof of extraterrestrial life when a listening post picks up exquisite singing from a planet that will come to be known as Rakat. While United Nations diplomats endlessly debate a possible first contact mission, a religious society quietly organizes an 8-person scientific expedition of its own. What they find is a world so beyond comprehension that it will lead them to question what it means to be human. So firstly, I always find it interesting when the present day has surpassed the future time period of the setting in a sci-fi book. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Russell depicts this 2019 in The Sparrow. And it sounds like it's going to tackle some interesting themes, because if humans were to discover things like aliens or time travel, alternate dimensions or universes, how would that affect people's philosophies? How would that affect their opinion on religion and God and all these kind of big existential questions? So I'm looking forward to seeing how Russell tackles that. Last year I read Contact by Carl Sagan, who is not a religious person, but wrote that book kind of from differing character perspectives, some of which were atheists and some of which were religious, and I found that to be quite an interesting conversation, so maybe Russell will tackle something similar in The Sparrow. And just before we get to our next book, if you're thinking to yourself, Jonathan, this is all well and good, but I don't want to have to wait until next year. Well, good news, at the end of the video, I'll be spinning the quantum wheel in order to find out the patron pick of the month for December. So if you're looking to pick up something right away, stick around for that. Okay, moving on, we have The Invincible by Stanislav Lem. A space cruiser is sent to an obscure planet to determine the fate of a spaceship whose communication from Earth abruptly ceased. Navigator Rohan and his crew discover a form of life that evolved from autonomous, self-replicating machines and are forced to confront the inexplicable and the bizarre, a problem that lies just beyond analytical reach. I've read 2 Lem books so far, Solaris and The Futurological Congress, and they were both 5-star reads for me. Solaris was a little bit more atmospheric and philosophical, whereas the Futurological Congress was a little more surreal and humorous. Of the two, this sounds like it leans maybe a little bit more into the Solaris style, questioning some big things to do with existence and consciousness and, humans trying to understand things which are just so far outside our realm of understanding, and even though I will never get there, it's the kind of thing I like to attempt while reading science fiction. Up next, Titanium Noir by Nick Harkaway. Detective Cal Sounder is called in to investigate a homicide at a local apartment, but when he arrives on scene, Cal soon learns that the victim is well over 7 feet tall, and although he doesn't look a day over 30, he is 91 years old. The victim is a Titan, one of this dystopian society's genetically altered elites. So it sounds like this book combines the detective and the cyberpunk genres, which I think are 2 subgenres that go together well, so I'm looking forward to that. And this one has been on my radar for a little while, mostly because the cover grabbed my attention. I love the pop of green and the cool sort of melting titanium face. Whatever's going on there, it's got my attention, and even though I feel like I do a pretty good job of reading a balance of modern and classic sci-fi, I feel like I need to catch up on some really recent things, books that came out in the last year or two, and so as a 2023 release that got some pretty positive reviews, I'm looking forward to checking out Titanium Noir. And for our next book we have Planet of the Apes by Pierre Boulle. In this simian world, civilization is turned upside down. Apes rule and men run wild. To this planet come a journalist and a scientist who are put into a zoo and a laboratory. Only one retains the spiritual strength and creative intelligence to try to save himself, to fight the appalling scourge, to remain a man. So this is a classic book, and what inspired me to read this was recently I watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes, and I really enjoyed all 3 of those films. I think each installment actually got a little bit better than the last as well. Fantastic trilogy. I haven't actually watched the latest one, but it made me get into an Apes kind of mood. I wanted to explore more of the Apes franchise, go back to where it all started with this original book by Pierre Boulle. So let me know if you think this one holds up, if you've read Planet of the Apes and how it compares to the films. Either way, I'm looking forward to it because I've heard mostly good things. And for our second last book, we have Synners by Pat Cadigan. The line between technology and humanity is hopelessly slim. To be a sinner is to join the online hardcore, an outlaw band of hackers, simulation pirates, and reality synthesizers hooked on artificial reality and virtual space. Now you can change yourself to suit the machines. All it costs you is your freedom and your humanity. Here's another cyberpunk book, one that is supposed to be very influential to the genre. I feel like Synners might fly a little bit under the radar nowadays, but there's a reason this was added to the Science Fiction Masterworks collection, and I'm going to be interested to see how this compares to some of the big names of the genre, like Neuromancer and Snow Crash and other books like that. And finally we have Titan by John Varley. When Sirocco Jones, captain of the spaceship Ringmaster, and her crew are captured by Gaia, a planet-sized creature that orbits around Saturn, they find themselves inside a bizarre world inhabited by centaurs, harpies, and constantly shifting environments. Titan is part of the big dumb object subgenre of science fiction, and it's one that I tend to enjoy because it always comes with the mystery of where did this object come from and why is it here? It sounds like this book is quite strange, and I think that quality lends itself to this subgenre, kind of adding to the mystery, the surrealness of it all, the fact that this is something that is typically well outside the normal human existence. Now, I believe this is part of a trilogy, but Titan is supposed to stand on its own fairly well, so I'm going to read it, hopefully enjoy it, and then we'll see if I want to continue the series from there, or whether it comes to a nice breaking point. So there you go, those are 10 sci-fi books I plan to read in 2025. Let me know which of these you think I should prioritize, and which of these you are also interested in picking up. And if you can't wait till then, join me now as I spin the Quantum Wheel to find out the Patron Pick of the Month for December. Welcome to the Quantum Wheel. All of the patron picks are both simultaneously picked and not picked until we observe a winner. Let's find out what I'll be reading in the month of December, the final patron pick of the year. What does the Quantum Wheel have in store for us? Let's find out. Could be service model, could be Starfish. Looks like Starfish gets the nod. There you go, Starfish by Peter Watts. This has been on my TBR for a little while. I have read Blindside and enjoyed it, even if enjoy is not exactly the right word to use because that was pretty horrifying. Starfish, I don't think it's going to be any lighter a read. I don't think this is going to be any more fun, but it should have some good hard sci-fi, some big ideas, some creepy characters, and go down deep under the water. A bit of an unsettling setting. So if that sounds like the type of thing you're in the mood for in December, join me and read Starfish. So there you go, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, smash, or just gently click the subscribe button. And if you really enjoyed it, consider checking out the perks of becoming a Patreon member, where you can become one of my robots, androids, or cyborgs, like Nima and New Eden, Half Ogre, Zakaway, and the Timeless Colin. And you can find more sci-fi content over here.